everybody? It's your girl Mika, and you're watching the Red Cup Podcast, where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks because this is where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. And happy Monday. I want to say happy Monday to everybody who's joining. Thank you so much. I hope you guys had a great, good, and great weekend. I know a lot of stuff went on the weekend. When I tell you all the stuff that I looked at, on the media, regular media, social media, I am telling you, it was not only sad, but it was just absolutely draining. Okay. I really had a good weekend, but I just couldn't believe all of the stuff that was going on. Okay. But nevertheless, welcome to the show, everybody. I appreciate you pulling up. Let's go in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for pulling up. I hope you did have a great weekend and a good Monday. All right. What did you do with your Monday? Let me know in the chat and let me know where you're from, okay? Because I like to know where everybody is from, especially if you're from Dallas. All right. Let me know where you're from in the chat. I always mess with the Dallas people because I am a Redskins fan, okay? AKA Commanders. And I'm from Washington, D.C. So I have to mess with the Dallas people because they think they're better and they always end up on the couch with us. But I'm glad you guys pulled up. What's going on, Hippie? What's going on, your car? What's going on, Gerald? What's going on, Reese from Philly? Okay, Reese, did you like Joe Biden showing up in Philly? Let me know. Let's see what else. Southern Ohio. Okay, I see you, Super Tim. Okay, DC. That's what's up. Okay. What's going on? Is it St. Louis? All right, St. Louis. Margot. Okay. I think I said it right. All right. And then we got, oh gosh, Dallas. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right. Let's get into our quick shots. All right, you guys. If you don't know, okay, you obviously know Nicki Minaj. Okay. And of course, unfortunately, you know Gavin Newsom. Well, Gavin Newsom and Nicki Minaj have been going at it back and forth. Nicki Minaj lives out there in California with everybody else that is, in Hollywood. However, she does not like Gavin Newsom. Okay. And even with this newfound, friendship that she has with the Trump administration, she's doubling down. All right. And people do not like it. And her and Gavin are going back and forth. Now, if you don't know, Gavin Newsom decided that he was going to have his team come up with, some little digs at Nicki Minaj. However, Gavin Newsom also had something going on with a post he posted about children, okay, trans children. And Nicki Minaj decided to clap back. So let's get into that and then show you how all of this spiraled into something else, because she's been trending all weekend. When I tell you this weekend was wild, it was wild. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this. Here we go. Now, if you guys see the post on the screen, okay, these are the X posts, okay? Nicki Minaj says, imagine being the guy running on wanting to see trans kids. Haha. Not even trans adults would run on that. Meaning he's trying to, run for president. He wants to see trans kids. Normal adults wake up and they think they want to see healthy, safe, happy kids. Okay? And so with that being said, the left, they were absolutely upset, okay? Because she's saying that nobody goes and says, I want to see trans kids. I want to see more trans kids. You say, yeah, I want to see happy, healthy kids, okay? Kids can turn into whatever they want to later. But as kids, you should leave them alone. That's what Nicki was saying. And the guy that wants to see trans kids is Gavin Newsom, okay? When I say he's a grifter, he's a grifter. Gavin Newsom comes back and he makes a post saying, Know your neighborhood and protect your community. California's Megan Law website makes it easy to access publicly available information about registering as a S offender. Okay. Now we all know why somebody on his team put that. Okay. And I hate that for Nicki Minaj that, she is with who she's with. Okay. However, I want to get into how it actually went down with the videos. And this sassy one here, who doesn't like Nicki Minaj, actually puts it together very well. Here we go.
Nicki Minaj tried to come for Gavin Newsom on Twitter with a series of tweets that were really out of control. I'm not sure what's wrong with her, but she seems to be ending her own legacy while she's alive. But in true fashion, Gavin Newsom and his petty ass team have clapped back. Look at the song he used on his response to Nicki Minaj.
These hoes don't be mad at Megan. These hoes mad at Megan's law. I don't really know what the problem is, but I guarantee y'all don't want me to start. Bitch, you a pussy.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Copyrights.
For any of you not aware, Nicki and Megan Thee Stallion are not friends, and they had their own beef recently. So him deciding to use a Megan Thee Stallion song is him equally ignoring Nicki Minaj, but also being like, try again. In this life of mine, I aim to be as petty as 50 Cent and Gavin Newsom at least once in my life. Cheers.
Okay, and so the sassy one there, thank you for putting that up. Here's the thing. They don't like the fact that Nicki Minaj is definitely with Donald Trump and the Trump administration on what he's doing, okay? And so now you have the trans community upset, okay? What you see on your screen is a person who claims to be a Nicki Minaj fan, a Barb, and we, them, they, them, and away we go, decided that they would talk about why they are upset at Nicki Minaj with all the stuff that she's doing and saying against trans kids and Gavin Newsom. Here we go.
Nicki Minaj, you have officially crossed the line. I am a longtime Barb, so before any of the Barbs try to come at me and say that I'm a hater of Nicki, I don't like Nicki, I'm literally wearing the merch I got from going from her tour twice. Also a signed CD up there. Now, the only reason why I'm addressing this is because I had a few comments, and also I'm very much so a proud Barb. For the past year, it has been so hard to continue my support to Nicki Minaj because of the way she's supporting the current administration right now. I have saw past, her husband, and I have never condoned that, and I never really liked him. I never supported that at all, and I was just like, you know what, it is what it is. I love Nicki Minaj, so that's something I'm willing to look past. I'm not saying it's a good thing to look past at all. However, I was a hardcore Barb. I still am a hardcore Barb. I love Nicki down. Her music has helped me so much throughout my teenage coming out era, and just like everything. She's helped me so much through her music, and she has empowered me and makes me feel empowered. So to see her support this administration that goes against everything that I am is so disheartening. More so making this video because, again, I'm very much so a Barb, and on my online presence, I'm not afraid to tell people that I am and show it, like in my backgrounds, or if I'm wearing a Nicki shirt as I'm getting ready. That's why I feel like I need to address it, because I do get comments of people asking me, why do I have Nicki up, or why do I have this, or why do I do that when it comes to Nicki Minaj. And this is me addressing it finally, and I've kept it kind of to myself for the longest time. Have not wanted to do this with Nicki Minaj, but I have to separate the art from the artist, and it sucks. It sucks. It's of what she tweets and all the things that happened this past year. And when I go on to like check in, and like maybe she said like, oh, this was all a joke, or maybe like this is all this and that, it just gets worse. And I feel like she's digging herself in a bigger hole every time situation this past year, and enough is enough. And I'm not saying that I'm not ever going to listen to Nicki Minaj song ever again, because
you will. Here's the thing about it. They are upset because Nicki Minaj won't bend the knee. Okay. At the end of the day, Nicki Minaj has a lot of fans that are in the LGBTQIA plus carry the one. It doesn't matter. If wrong is wrong, it's wrong. Okay. Wrong is wrong. And what they don't like is she's saying that you should not trying to support children transitioning. Okay. It is absolutely ridiculous. If you want to be a grown person wearing aqua green on your eyelashes and your lids, go ahead. What she's saying is leave the children alone. And I don't understand why that's so controversial. I don't understand it. Okay. There are plenty of people that are, gay, bi, whatever. Nobody cares if you're an adult. Do what you want to do. Why bother the children? Let them be children. And that is the problem. That's absolutely the problem. Okay. But that is what's going on with Nicki Minaj. Okay. They are attacking her left and right. Okay. Gavin Newsom thought he was, being funny. He wants to be, the jailed down version of Donald Trump. Okay. Donald Trump hair flows in the wind with his little in the front, and Gavin Newsom wears a whole lot of gel. Okay. Kind of like Grease. So you guys, let me know what you think about all of that nonsense. It's a shame that you can't even support your country. You can't support your president, and you can't do and say what's right without the masses attacking you for it. Okay. If you like someone's music, that's fine. But at the end of the day, they are also human. And Nicki Minaj is just stating what she thinks is fine. So you guys get that in the comments and let me know what you think about that. All right. I thought that was absolutely weird. Now, another thing that I thought was weird was the fact that everybody has been talking about, of course, the Michigan man, which is the coach. All right. Sharon, who got fired last week because he got caught cheating. Okay. They still haven't settled on everything that happened, but at the least, the girlfriend, the side chick, whatever she was, pretty much, helped the investigation and showed all the text messages and everything. And he was fired, went there to her, her house, her home, and tried to commit suicide. Just absolutely ridiculous. He's now released. However, I want to get into something that a lot of people were talking about, which was another woman that he had been talking to. And this is the woman that supposedly he was talking to. She's an OnlyFans model, and she decided to go and talk to TMZ because the Washington Post did a story. I'm trying to figure out how big this story is going to get, because at absolutely no point in time, how do you have the side chick, the wife? Now you have OnlyFans models coming out. So I don't know what to believe, but I wanted to get into what she wanted to clear up. Here we go.
I want to go ahead and clear that up, that was not me who said that. I do have a group of people working over on Twitter, as well as a assistant that no longer works for me. I think one of them ended up feeding that story to them. I have not been on that Twitter at all. So when I heard about it was over on Instagram because of New York Post. And I was like, wait, what is going on right now? I never, ever said this, nor did I confirm this. The foursome part is absolutely not true. But yeah, that I just wanted to clear that up, because that part was crazy. He was DMing me, he was messaging me. But yeah, it wasn't because I inserted myself. I was kind of like dragged into the drama. It was always friendly conversations between us. It was never anything crazy like that. He did offer multiple times to fly. He was like, I would fly you out first class. I just really want to meet you. I would love to hug you. Just like little innocent things like that, like nothing crazy. It was never anything sexual. For the championship game, I took myself to the championship game with my sister. Nobody took me to that game. He didn't buy the tickets. He didn't give me the tickets. But during the game, we were messaging. And then after the game, I think they were staying at the Hilton in downtown. He was like, you should come, just like a fan. And then I'll let you take pictures with the guys, and then we can like take some pictures. But yeah, that That is true. He did try to get me to come over to the hotel. Yeah. I'm being called like a clout chaser and all of this. And if I really wanted to out him, I would have outed him when they were here for the championship. And he was trying to get me over to the hotel where all the players were, where he was at. And I was like, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. So yeah, if I really wanted to out him, I would have done it. So like back when they won the championship, when everything was blowing up.
Guys, y'all have to get it together. Men, fellas, y'all have to get it together, okay? Because then we here in the media or any other consumer of entertainment, sports, have to deal with the back end, okay? Because I'm pretty sure there are going to be more women coming out, more girls talking. I mean, he's probably in tons of different women's DMs. I'm just saying, y'all have to get it together, okay? This man lost 30 million, 6 million over 5 years. He lost 30 million over a woman. Okay. And I do mean just any old woman. Okay. Not, nothing special. If Travis Kelce, lose 6 million, lose 30 million, you know what I mean? But any old woman. Okay. And on top of that, you are married and your wife and your children are embarrassed. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what you guys aren't signing, what you aren't telling these women, what you aren't doing right, but you need to get it together. Absolutely. But that is the latest on this whole Michigan man coach, Sharon. It's absolutely insane. Okay. It's absolutely insane because TMZ is saying that they have more. All right. This is only one of them that, I honestly think one of her assistants, as she calls it, one of her assistants did leak it, but I think she knew about it. It gets her attention and it gets people to her OnlyFans. Why not? Okay. Because now you're not going to be able to benefit off of him having millions. So now you link it to, mainstream media, to the Washington Post. It's just absolutely insane. Okay. You guys got to stop. You got to stop. All right. You got to stop. You're losing too much. All right. And for any old woman who obviously doesn't care about you, obviously. But that is that. Now, last but not least, okay, in our saga today of just ridiculousness, let's get into Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay. Marjorie Taylor Greene had a local interview with, I believe, 11 Alive. Okay. Down there in Georgia. And she decided that she didn't feel like answering questions. All right. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting on my last nerve. I told you guys this a week ago. She's on my last nerve. All right. And the reason why she's on my last nerve is because not only is she a hypocrite, okay, ma'am, you were with everything Donald Trump was with up until he didn't want to help you run for Senate, a race that you would not have won. Okay. I don't even think you would have beat if somebody like Stacey Abrams runs. Okay. They're not going to vote for you. You're not her. You're not that good. You're not going to win. And Donald Trump, as a friend, told you that. However, she's still on her campaign of scorched earth as a political side chick. Let's go ahead and get into Marjorie Taylor Greene because it's getting worse by the day.
Ma'am, I want to ask you just a couple last questions. I always want to be respectful of your time. You have said in this interview in so many words, and you've said in other interviews, including on CNN just a few weeks ago, you said you want to move past what you called the toxic politics of our modern system. You yourself have a history of making sometimes controversial comments. Looking back, do you feel like you have anything personally to apologize for and possibly contributing to that discourse?
This seems to be the popular question from everyone that is interviewing. I've very much already addressed that. I don't think it has to be said over and over again in every single interview I do, but I'm sincere in my words. I think that America has been ripped apart by both sides of the aisle with toxic politics, and it comes from both parties and members of both parties. We see it in fundraising emails And I, not only have I been a part of it, every Republican has and every Democrat has. I've also been a victim of it, just as many others have been victims of it. And so I think it's important for each person to take responsibility for their own action and words. And I think that responsibility falls on every single one in leadership. We have real problems in America. We have a $38 trillion debt. We have a young generation that looks to the future and doesn't have a lot of hope as they're struggling with jobs and housing. Social Security is going to become insolvent in just a few years in 2033. That affects every single one of us. So I think in the political industrial complex that has built on two parties that only know how to fight each other, it's time for people in politics to take it serious and realize that it's time to put the American people first.
You used an expression, taking responsibility for your words. I know that you've mentioned here in this interview, President Trump calling you a traitor was a breaking point for you. In the past, you've tweeted, you called Republican Congressman Bob Good a traitor. You called some Republicans who voted for President Biden's infrastructure bill traitor Republicans. You've used that language too. Do you regret that?
Ma'am?
Yes, I've already addressed this before, and I'll stand with what I've already said. I've also been the victim of it. I was actually accused by Democrats online of being the pipe bomber on January 5th, which was such an outrageous, dangerous lie that brought death threats on me back in 21 and 22.
Oh my God.
I've also been used many times and called a traitor by Democrats in fundraising emails and campaign ads. So again, I want to reiterate, this is a two-way street, and I seem to be the only one willing to take responsibility.
And Congresswoman, in fairness, we've asked Democrats as well. We ask everybody about their past stances and past statements. But we would be remiss if we didn't ask you about this. You say you're taking responsibility for it. I just want to be really clear. Do you regret, do you apologize for saying those things?
I've already addressed this. I said it on CNN. I've said it back in 2020. And thank you. I've already addressed it.
Ma'am?
Could you address it here again, though? And if not, why not?
Thank you. I've already addressed it.
Ma'am, I don't want to dwell here, but I don't think you have addressed it here. If it's something you regret, I mean, could you just explain why you don't want to say it again?
I'm sorry, but I don't know why you have this motive. And I don't quite understand it, but I've already addressed it, and people have thanked me, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. But this isn't an exercise that I should have to go through on every single interview, and it's quite unbecoming of you to continue to have to push that.
Ma'am, some people would argue that saying colleagues were traitors was unbecoming. I don't think this is an unreasonable question.
See, this is the toxic nature that I'm talking about. And now you're participating in it yourself here with 11 Alive. And so again, I think you should take responsibility of your own words, the product that you're producing here on your network. I've done my part, so I think it would be good for you to do yours.
Well, ma'am, these are your words, but it seems like we're not going to get any further here. So I do want to ask you one last question.
You know what?
Before we wrap up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the interview. Hopefully, good luck.
Ma'am, are you going to run again?
Oh, no, she rage quit. Yeah. So, our girl, their girl, Marjorie Taylor Greene, rage quit. Okay, he said she gonna run again. Child, the shade is too much. Look, I appreciate the guy, the reporter, okay, for continuing to push the envelope. Okay, yeah, exactly. She's acting like a Dem. She's acting like a coward. The man did his due diligence. Okay. Whether you are a liberal reporter or a conservative reporter, I appreciate a reporter asking the hard questions. And that question wasn't even hard. The question was, you've said these things. Why is Donald Trump saying it to you differently? Okay. You've said Democrats have said it to you, and you've said it to Republicans. What is the problem? What is the problem? Okay. She looked just like the woman that was running for governor out there in California who rage quit when the reporter asked her very hard questions. Okay. If the Democrats can't take the heat, we laugh. Well, this Republican right here cannot take the heat. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I believe is just absolutely ridiculous. She's absolutely ridiculous. And I do not believe that she is going to make it in anything in politics after this year. Okay. Not one thing. I hope she does make it very well with that construction company that she had all those illegals at. Okay. And hopefully she goes away. But clearly, I don't think she's going to be going away. I think she's going to do probably what her good friend, old pal Ratchet Crockett, is going to do, because she's not going to win that Senate seat either. And they're both going to go and be political pundits. Okay. Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to go and be a fake Republican. And then, Ratchet Crockett is going to go beyond MSDNC, BS Now, and all those conglomerates and talk about absolutely nothing but Trump, Trump, Trump. That's how it's going to go. Both of them are trash. So you guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think about all of that. What did you think about, everyone on the internet, including Gavin Newsom, who is the sassiest politician alive outside of Elmer Fudge, Tim Walz. Outside of Tim Walz, yeah, he would be the sassiest that I know. So let me know what you think about Gavin Newsom and Nicki Minaj going back and forth. Let me know what you think about Marjorie Taylor Greene rage quitting on her interview with a local news station. A local news station, not CNN, local news. Okay. CNN treats her much worse. All right. And then let me know what you guys thought about the OnlyFans side chick model, whatever she is, to the Michigan man himself, the Michigan coach who was fired for cheating on his wife. And it's just, that story is just absolutely ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe somebody lost 30 million like that. However, those are your quick shots. All right. So you guys get down in the comments. Let me go ahead and read the super chat because Marjorie is already on my nerves. The Genius CEO, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Hair looking great here. I got 5 on it. Thank you. And YouTube got half they gonna keep. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And thank you guys so much on Cash App as well. Because you guys always support me on Cash App. So I do appreciate it. I'm just gonna pull it up. Thank you to Mike, that dude. He always supports on Cash App. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let's get into everything else. Y'all were making me laugh. Okay. Y'all were making me laugh. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get into this. Okay. I want to get into Erika Kirk. All right. So if you don't know, Erika Kirk had a town hall this weekend. First of all, I don't know why Erika Kirk is having a town hall. Okay. I am all, in favor of hearing, whatever she has to say as it pertains to Charlie. But I didn't understand the town hall. I'm assuming, it was better to do the town hall because she could answer a bunch of questions at once. I absolutely have no idea why she wanted to do it, but she did. And so with that being said, I want to get into everything everyone had to say about said town hall. And it wasn't nice. All right. We already know how liberal white women feel about Erika Kirk, how they feel about everything that is, conservative or on the right or Republican. All right. Liberal white women want you, to go outside and run amok like they do. All right. Nobody stops them. They do what they want. All right. And then the liberal 92% follows them. However, I just found it distasteful how they mocked her then and they're mocking her now. And, I just feel awful that at the end of the day, the children are going to see all of this, from their dad to their mom to the nonsense that's on the internet. I want to go ahead and get into this. And we're going to start with the white liberals who are mocking Erika Kirk. Here we go.
People don't understand how hard it is to be a professional widow. You don't understand how strenuous the tour schedule is. And I need everyone to know how sad I am. I'm so sad all the time. I miss the little things so many things about Charlie were little that I miss. But the thing I miss the most of all is when you come home on a Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Daddy's home, and he put his phone and his keys in the junk drawer, and it would just be all us. It'd just be all us. I just want to encourage people. Don't argue with your spouses. Don't let men get away with anything except the absolute bare minimum of them. I always told him, you know, I will always have a place for you at home. There's always going to be dinner for you on the table. And if it's cold, I'll reheat it. Don't even worry about it, baby. I am such a good wife. And I'm so sad, but I make a great wife.
Regardless of what you think, you know, whether you think you have your suspicions or not, the liberal left woman, the liberal white woman is absolutely atrocious and has been sick and atrocious since the death of Charlie Kirk. It's just absolutely ridiculous, okay? And I don't understand why people don't believe that this is not going to come back on them, right? In your own life, right? In your own life. How do you mock someone being a widow? How do you mock someone having a husband that was assassinated live? It's just absolutely ridiculous, regardless of how I feel about them, right? It could be somebody on the left. Regardless of how I feel about them, why would I mock it? It's absolutely nasty. Nasty work.
Yes, thank you. 5. Can I have a moment just by myself so that I can?
No. Oh no, yeah, of course. Understand.
You're good.
We'll be We'll be
And you're good?
Thank
you.
You okay?
I'm okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's game time. You've got this. You've got the grief. You've got righteous anger. And God will take care of all of those who oppose you. And it's for the kids. It's for Charlie. And it's for the ability to be able to grieve in private. We want privacy, and some people grieve differently. Some go on book tours and some stay home, but Charlie wanted me to earn the trust of the people after he was gone. He told me. And everything that he said about that black pilot, well, that was out of context. People just don't know how brilliant he was. He didn't care. He wanted everybody to earn their keep, just as he wants you to earn the money so that you can buy his last book. And we're all grieving, but everyone who's asking questions needs to stop.
These people are absolutely sick. Absolutely sick. Okay. Like why? Absolutely not. Why would you want to do this? It's so sick. Okay. Like I said, you're entitled to feel however you feel about somebody, but this is just, it's a whole different level. And there never was a sister code. When I tell you guys that women do not have a sister code, they do not have a sister code. Okay. Yeah, in 2026, okay, we're going to get into a lot of different stuff. Okay, we're going to get into women, men, relationships, other pop culture things. I'm going to tell you, women, we do not have a sister code. Okay, because the moment you don't agree with the majority, okay, like I don't agree with the majority of women on how women should run around, how women should be in society, and for that. They attack me and I don't give a damn. I really don't care. But the thing about it is there's no sister code. Okay. Women are, according to them, not a monolith, but they are. Okay. There's absolutely no sister code. It's absolutely no sister code. All right. There's only good women and bad women. That's it. On code, never been. Okay. So That's a farce. Let's get into Miss Erika Kirk's. Lord Jesus. Let's get into this, okay? Because this is a part of the town hall. Now, this part of the town hall right here was, I thought, absolutely ridiculous. And I'm going to tell you why. They thought, meaning CBS, thought it was a good idea to bring up the man who last spoke to Charlie right before he was assassinated, okay? So right before that, there was a gentleman speaking to him, asking him a question, and Charlie never really got to finish the question because we all know what happened, right? All right. That man is going to be the person right here asking Erika Kirk a question.
Erika, as you know, the last person that Charlie ever spoke to was a Utah Valley student named Hunter Kozak. He was asking Charlie a question that day when he was shot, and he's here tonight, and he wants to ask you a question.
Hi there. Erika, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your calls for peace and unity, and I'm likewise horrified by the people in my so-called camp who were cheering about Charlie's murder. I believe that they stoke the flames of violence. But even worse is when powerful, influential people on either side of the aisle stoke the flames. When they do it, the flames can become an inferno. And this leads me to Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth, who has more responsibility than anyone else to put the flames out. Just last month, President Trump called on 6 Democratic lawmakers to be tried for sedition, which he clarified was punishable by death. He then reposted a simple message: hang them. I think that you've been making strides to bring peace to our country, and that Turning Point has been asking Democrats to decry the individuals who cheer for violence. I have and will continue to decry them. But any good faith effort to stop political violence must hold both parties to the same standard and expectation. So in that spirit, will you condemn the violent rhetoric of Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth?
I appreciate your question. You know my heart. Why would I ever say, yes, go murder people? This is so much deeper than just one. I understand your sentiment. I do. But this is also so much deeper than just one person. This starts at the home, okay? This starts with family. This starts with a seed that grows and grows. You can choose to have evil in your heart, or you can choose to have light. What you consume and what you absorb from the outside world will manifest itself. No, I will never agree with political violence. My husband is a victim of it. I'm a victim of it. But what I'm trying to say here is that we can blame everyone else. We have to look in the mirror. When you become a father, when you become a mother, how are you raising your kids? Are you taking responsibility, or are you giving them a device and saying, go down that rabbit hole? I'm trying to go to Pilates class. You can just sit in the corner and look at your iPad or look at your phone and go down that rabbit hole and see what you can learn from that instead of being a parent. So my call to action from that is, parents, step up. Do you want your kid to be a thought leader or an assassin? That's where we're at.
Do you think our political leaders have a responsibility to turn the temperature down right now?
Well, I think everyone has a responsibility to do that, and I'm doing my part. I'm not in control of other people.
See, here's the thing, okay? I don't think Erika Kirk, all right, is, of course, she's not Charlie Kirk, right? She's not really politically astute, all right? She's not every, she's not Candice Owens. She's not that, right? And for whatever reason, she is supposed to be the board has put her in charge. She's the CEO. So she has to go out there and talk. All right. And I don't think you guys are giving her enough room to actually learn how to do that. Okay? Because I don't think she's obviously extremely good at it. Right? I don't think Donald Trump is extremely good at it, but I love Donald Trump. Okay. But I don't think she's extremely good at it. And it's okay. Maybe she'll get it, further down the line. But everybody isn't a good public speaker. Okay. And so, with that being said, that's one thing. But two, the woman is a widow. All right. Now, again, everybody can have their thoughts on whether she is telling the truth or not, whether she knows more than, she's leading on. That is, I guess, debatable. And that is, something everybody can talk about. But regardless, she doesn't have her husband and her children don't have their father. All right. And to watch some of this stuff play out in the public is just wild. Right? It's just wild. And now, you understand why a lot of people just don't want to put their families out in the public eye, because a lot of people are just effing nasty. They're just nasty. They're nasty. All right. And then I don't understand why CBS wanted to throw, any liberal they could have thrown up there, but they threw that guy up there. Why? Right. So it gives this whole effect of, yeah, but. Right. So your husband is considered a white supremacist. And now you have the gentleman that was asking him a question up there. Like, I don't understand that. Like, that's a trap. All right. That's absolutely a trap, because I'm pretty sure they didn't tell her that. Couldn't have been me. All right. Because I would have had way more to say. Way more. All right. However, at the end of the day, I think the whole thing with Erika Kirk is just it's just wild, because there are plenty of people that love Charlie and want to get to the bottom of what happened. I understand that, right? But essentially, if you don't know, you don't know. You don't know. Unless you're going to go get a private PI and figure it out, you don't know. So what exactly are you doing? Other than looking like you're tearing down a woman, regardless if she knows more or not, what exactly are you doing? What information has been brought to everybody's attention? I haven't seen it. And I love a good conspiracy theory, but I haven't seen any information. Like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Got it. What else do you have? Y'all don't have anything. So we just running around. Now, on the other side, I also don't like the interviews. Okay. I also don't like the interviews. I don't know what we're doing. Right. The PR, it's not looking good. Okay. I think the team needs to get together and figure out where they're going with this. Right. Is if she's going to, selling books, is she going to grieve? And I understand she's in the grieving process, right? But it gives people the father to do what they're doing. If you're grieving, just avoid doing these interviews and television, because you got to sell the book. So you got to stand up tall and you got to talk. But then you're going to break down crying because you are grieving. And then you think about your kids and your husband. It's all a mess. And I really wish whoever is in charge over there would get this together, because it looks crazy. It looks wild. So I can understand both sides. I still think y'all are trash for doing all of these, TikToks and things like that. But I can see where people can get stuff from, or I can see how people can drag in conspiracies, or I can see it all, because y'all are not doing a good job at, dare I say, selling whatever you're trying to sell. Because as a person that really, I like Charlie Kirk, but as a person that likes Charlie Kirk, I don't know what you're trying to give me. I don't. I don't know what they're trying to sell to me. But I feel horrible for his children, because all of this is going to be there for them to see. So I need whoever is over there to get it together. If we're going to be having her tell a story, let her tell a story of her family, of Turning Point, whatever. But if not, and it's just about this, then give her time to grieve and then get back on, the business train of Turning Point. Or let somebody else do it while she's grieving. But to have all of that in between, it's just like the man hasn't been dead that long. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. She needs some good people in her corner. Point blank, period. Okay? Good people. Now, with that being said, I want to get into the fact that supposedly she's supposed to be meeting with Candice Owens today. Okay? And having a private meeting, or a private meeting did happen or is going to happen. We shall see. However, I want to get into that, and I want to get into what Candice Owens said last week as well. Here we go.
And I can tell you 1000% that Andrew Colvett told me the night before Charlie was murdered that Charlie Kirk texted him and said, they are going to kill me. Andrew Colvett is the person who received a text message from Charlie Kirk saying they're going to kill me. And I'm not getting that third party. I got that directly from Andrew Colvett. He asked me to keep it off record, and I would have kept it off record if Erika did not imply that I lied, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying she is saying Candace is lying. I am saying that since I was the one who put it out there, she's implying that I'm lying and that that's not true. So we have a scenario here where either Andrew Colvett has told an explicit lie, or Erika Kirk is telling an explicit lie. It's not up for me to determine who. I didn't receive that text message, but yeah. And I also was told by a person at Turning Point USA, who I'm not going to name because they are one of my sources, that Dan Flood received the same message. So there you go. I don't know. I believe that she has his phone. I maybe somebody deleted it, but I don't know why Andrew Colvett, 48 hours after Charlie was dead, would lie to me. He did not sound like he was lying. He sounded very concerned about it. And I specifically said, like, who is they? Like, he said, they're going to kill me. And he said, I don't know who he was talking about. And I thought it's kind of weird. Yeah, that's what I can tell you. I can just tell you the truth.
The saga continues. Okay. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. Okay. You're the guy's friend. Okay. So you have a right to feel, hey, my friend is passed. I think something is up. Fine. But then the wife wants you to stop. You don't want to stop. You're going back and forth with the wife. She's going back and forth with you. The babies. The babies are really all I care about. Honestly and truly. The babies, I'm just looking at this like, what in the... Your babies have to see this. It's wild. It's wild to me. Okay. So apparently they're supposed to meet up, and, people are, making think pieces on it. What she's supposed to say, what Erika Kirk is supposed to say to Candace, and what Candace will say to her, what information that Candace has and doesn't have. It's just wild of what's going on. So here is one opinion on their meetup.
So we all heard that Erika and Candace are set out for a private meeting today. I have no hope in this meeting.
Not no hope.
This is so either Candice Owens knows is trying to save what little reputation she has left because she said so many lies. And she did say she would stop when Erika said stop, and now people are clowning her even worse. Everybody's speaking out against her because she literally is attacking a grieving widow and she's trying to save face. or she's manipulating and going to use this interview to try to make it like she's winning and there's some type of scheme behind it. But either way, Candace never does anything if it's not for Candace. And then what I don't see any way Candace can stop. Candace has dug herself so far in the hole. So what is she just gonna stop? She done told the whole world Erika Kirk had something to do with her husband's murder, was covering it up. She done went off on Turning Point saying that they're laundering, that they're doing evil stuff with money. Nothing short of, only way is she can come out and save face and say, I lied about everything, or I was unwell, or saying something like that. Because what does she do for her nutcase followers? What does she say to them? That all believe Charlie Kirk was killed by Turning Point, or that somehow the Israel killed Turning Point? What is she going to do to her father? She's going to act like it didn't happen? So I don't have much hope on this meeting. I think this meeting is not going to end like people think. I give Erika props for trying, and I hope it ends.
Well, here are my thoughts on this meeting. I hope whatever happens at this meeting, that they can come to a consensus. And if there is something else going on with Charlie Kirk's, assassination, somebody knows more, somebody has something, I wish they just come out and say it. Okay, come out and say it, or go ahead and investigate it. And I just really want them to get down to it, because I'm telling you right now, the babies are going to see this. Okay, this stuff lives on forever. I feel terrible for those kids. Like, that was the first thing I thought about when Charlie Kirk had initially gotten shot. I thought about his children. Right? And so with that being said, y'all are grown. Get this stuff together. Okay? Talk out whatever you have to talk out. If you have information, go ahead and share it with her. Erika, if you know something and you don't want Candace to talk about it, like, I really do hope this meeting works out. I really do, because it's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to the public. Okay, it's not good, again, for the children. It's not good politically. It's exhausting at a point in time in the country where we really need to get unity together amongst Americans. Okay, we don't need to be breaking off into little factions here, there, and everywhere. And so my whole thought process is, hopefully, that this meeting has them come to some consensus. But people online are saying that they either with Candace all the way and hope she goes in on Erika, or they're on Erika Kirk's side and they hope that Erika Kirk just blasts Candace all the way because they think Candace is a nut job. It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But we shall see what actually comes out of it. Again, Erika Kirk had the town hall. The town hall, is like an hour or so long. But when I tell you guys that this is just turning into a saga that, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk's name is attached to, it's just wild. So thoughts for Charlie Kirk and his children, because everybody else is just, it's a shame. They're adults. They're adults, you guys. But hopefully, Erika Kirk can get her stuff together, and so can Candice Owens and everybody else in between. You guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think about this mess. Let me know what you think about Erika Kirk and her tour, because some people like it, some people do not like it. Let me know what you think about her having a town hall, okay, to talk about Turning Point, Charlie Kirk, and everything that happened, everything that's happening with her, the book, everything. And even the things with Candice Owens. Let me know what you think about Candice Owens, and Candice Owens talking about, she's not going to stop talking about Erika Kirk or Charlie unless Erika sits down and talk with her. And apparently they're supposed to talk today. So you guys, let me know what you all think about that. Okay? Let me know. Let me go ahead and read these super chats. It is wild. Like it's wild. They're adults and people just, I hate when people's kids got to see stuff. Let's go ahead and get in these super chats. Marjorie Taylor Green, Chavis, thank you for the $5 super chat. Marjorie Taylor Green, Tamu Wig Crockett, Joyless Reed, and Tim Walls will be the new View. That is a good assessment. Marjorie Taylor Green, Roger Crockett, Joyless Reed, Tim Walls, and we need one more. Sassy Newsom. Yeah, he's going to be on there. Got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. We got another one. Here we go. Mr. Joe, $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. In hindsight, it was a horrible move to thrust Erika in the CEO role. Yeah, I just felt like it was just she was thrown out there. But yeah, just ridiculous. Someone else should have took on the role and gave Erika time to grieve in private. Yes, and that's what I'm saying. It just seems like, I get it. Your husband was this, that, and the third, so they want to give you the CEO role and you carry on your husband's legacy. But the crying with, trying to sell stuff, it just doesn't, it's not going to mesh. And if you need time to grieve, nobody is going to fault you for that. You could still be the CEO, but put somebody in, in the interim. Because it's not connecting the way you wanted to connect. And you're even having people that love Charlie Kirk question you. And that's not good. Like, that's not good at all. So I really do think she needs a better team. And that's just my opinion. Thank you so much, Mr. Joe. I appreciate your super chat. And thank you to Chavis as well. All right. So let's go ahead. Right. That's right. She should have had another one. All right. Let's go ahead and get into this next topic. Okay. Now, what's going on? Let's get into this next topic because this is closer to home for me. All right. This next topic is absolutely wild. And the reason why it's wild is because we are talking about the DC police chief. Okay. Now, you remember back in the summertime when Donald Trump did all of that with the National Guard and, the mayor and the chief said, oh, our crime stats are fine. Crime is down. The liberals keep lying about that. The crime is down. The crime is down. The crime is down. The crime is not down. The crime is absolutely not down. They're just a bunch of liars. All right. And remember, they didn't want to tell you also that, crime was being done by juveniles. All right. And in these cities, it tends to be, quote unquote, minority juveniles. All right. So they didn't want to put the spotlight on that either. However, the minority police officers, because DC police force, some of you don't know, DC police force is very, 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 very heavily minority. Okay. Most of the officers, up into a couple of the newer classes, most of the officers come from Southeast DC or PG County, which is right outside of DC. So a lot of these officers know the constituents. Okay. They know the constituents. They know the areas. They grew up. They went to public schools. They know DC. And so with that being said, the officers that started to notice that the crime stats were being cooked were Black. Okay. They were Black or Hispanic. Okay. Everybody knew what was happening on the department. But again, the police chief did what she wanted to do. All right. Just like all the police chiefs there, really. Okay. And the mayor did what she wanted to do because they were busy pushing the liberal agenda. I want to go ahead and get into what started this whole thing. And then we're going to get into the police chief. All right, here we go. Let's get into it.
The DC Police Union is putting its allegations on the record tonight, claiming police supervisors in the department are manipulating crime data.
They are.
To make it appear violent crime has fallen considerably when compared to last year. As of today, according to the DC Police website, crime is down 25%, a decrease the chairman of the police union calls preposterous.
It is.
The union's allegations come as the former commander of the 3rd District stands accused of doing what the union says is being done day in and day out.
To areas where we know that
That's Michael Pulliam standing with the chief of police at a recent news conference. At the time, he was the commander of the 3rd District, which patrols the neighborhoods of Adams Morgan and Columbia Heights. In early May, 5 law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation tell News 4 Pulliam was placed on administrative leave with pay and told he was under investigation for questionable changes to crime data. A move that came just about a week after he filed an EEOC complaint against Executive Assistant Chief of Police Andre Wright, according to 3 law enforcement sources familiar with the complaint. The reasons for that later in this story. News 4 reached out to Commander Pulliam for comment. He denied the allegations against him and referred us to the public information officer.
I bet he did.
As for the union's allegations, Chairman Greg Pemberton laid it all on the table.
When our members respond to the scene of a felony offense where there is a victim reporting that a felony occurred, inevitably there will be a lieutenant or a captain that will show up on that scene and direct those members to take a report for a lesser offense.
That's a fact.
So instead of taking a report for a shooting or a stabbing or a carjacking, they will order that officer to take a report for a theft or an injured person to the hospital or a felony assault, which is not the same type of classification.
Greg Pemberton says the police department's command staff is focusing on 2 categories in order to get the numbers to fall. They are armed with a dangerous weapon, an injured person to the hospital.
When management officials are directing officers to take reports for felony assault, or if they're going back into police databases and changing offenses to felony assault is not a category of crime that's listed on the department's daily crime stats. It's also not something that's a requirement of the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program. So by changing criminal offenses from, for example, ADW bat or ADW gun to felony assault, that would avoid both the MPD and the FBI from reporting that as a Part 1 or a felony offense.
Pemberton says the union has been gathering evidence for some time now by looking at reports and talking with officers all over the city.
What we've heard through our members and through members of management that are willing to talk with the union is that this is a directive from the command staff, is that they want to make sure that these classifications of these reports are adjusted over time to make sure that the overall crime stats stay down.
And that is the history of MPD. That's what they've been doing. Okay. They've been doing it for a while. Okay. If you go back to Kathy Lanier, okay, who is now a part of the NFL. Okay. But Kathy Lanier did the same exact thing. All right. This is nothing new. This is just now we have an administration who actually listens. All right. Because I'm telling you right now, there are so many officers who are reprimanded, who are suspended, who are this, that, and the third, fired, all of that. Because I'm telling you, that department is tyrannical, absolutely tyrannical. Okay. They do things to people left and right if you don't do what they want them, if you don't do what the brass says to do. And absolutely, once you're past sergeant, when you start getting up to that command staff, yeah, you're a politician, especially the chief. However, this is what's going on with the chief today, because the chief, she resigned last week, okay, and said, oh, I haven't been able to spend time with my family, my mom, this happened, and I just gotta go, it's just time. I see why.
All right. And moments ago, U.S. Attorney
because
Janine Pirro here in Washington, D.C., responding to allegations that D.C. crime data was manipulated by the outgoing police chief, Pamela Smith. That claim coming from a new House Oversight Committee report. Our congressional correspondent, Bill Malugin, with the latest on Capitol Hill. Bill?
Well, John, Republicans on the House Oversight Committee say their investigation concluded that this outgoing D.C. police chief was trying to make the city seem a whole lot safer than it really was, and she was doing it by allegedly cooking the books on crime statistics. So the Republicans on the committee say their investigation consisted of interviewing 7 different DC Metro police commanders who represent all of the patrol districts out here. That included a former commander who's currently suspended for allegedly tampering with crime stats in his own district. And these are some of the conclusions they've made in their report. Number one, they allege that DC Metro Police Chief Pamela Smith pressured commanders to report lower crime stats by any means necessary. Commanders testified that Chief Smith pushed them to pursue lesser charges that aren't publicly reported, even for serious crimes, and she also required certain crimes to be reviewed by her office. In a statement on this report, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says in part, quote, Chief Pamela Smith coerced staff to report artificially low crime data and cultivated a culture of fear to achieve her agenda. Chief Smith's decision to mislead the public by manipulating crime stats is dangerous and undermines trust in both local leadership and law enforcement. Meanwhile, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser was asked to respond to the House Oversight Committee Republicans' findings earlier this morning. Take a listen.
I don't see any evidence of that. If the claim is, and I don't think anybody has demonstrated that the police chief directed anybody to change numbers. When the committee provides me their backup information, which they haven't, when the committee provided the report to the Washington Post before they provided it to us, highly unusual when you're talking about an audit of numbers.
And John, just moments ago, the U.S. Attorney here in D.C., Jeanine Pirro, responded to this report. She put out a statement on X, which essentially says that, yes, these crime stats were manipulated, and the manipulation of that data shows that President Trump has reduced crime here in D.C. a whole lot more than initially thought. She went on to say that what happened here with the crime stats does not rise to the level of any criminal charges or a crime, but that the D.C. Police Department has to change their practices moving forward. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, I know that before everything changed in the summer, we were all hearing, well, the crime is down in D.C., and none of us had anything to peg that to. So.
Crime is absolutely not down in DC. I have been saying that for months. I live here in the area. I'm telling you, it's not down. It's probably not down in Chicago, as we know. Okay, you had the things going on with the loop, plus, the immigrants, and so on and so on and so on and so on. However, DC is another one of these liberal hubs. And at the end of the day, they're not going to tell you that the crime is atrocious here. Okay, they're not going to tell you that. And the reason why they're not going to tell you that is because they don't want people actually not coming to the city. Okay, because DC has a lot of tourism. All right, that's how they make a lot of money. Okay, but again, DC has a lot of tourism. And also, Donald Trump was saying things about not giving these liberal cities that have a lot of crime federal dollars. All right. And so they had to make it seem like they had actual lowered crime stats. I mean, for goodness sake, Baltimore said they had low crime stats. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The traffic is a crime here. But absolutely not. Baltimore, Maryland, PG County, Maryland, okay, which is right outside of DC, high crime. All right, DC, high crime. And now even spilling over into Northern Virginia, Alexandria, okay, the northern part of Fairfax. All of these places that normally would not have high crime have high crime. And they have high crime because of immigrants. Illegal immigrants. They have high crime because of, the culture of all of these children just going out committing crimes. They have, high crime because you don't have strict laws. Okay, DC laws are so lax, the same criminal can do this like something like 10 times and they keep getting out. And when you have city council that is allowed, okay, to be a criminal, like an actual criminal caught on tape, taking bribes and gets reelected, nobody's doing nothing about the crime. Absolutely not. They're not going to do anything about the crime. They're just not. Okay. And then we all know where most of the crime is coming from. So now you have to combat with, if, you go and arrest these people, then it's racist. So now you have to deal with that factor. And nobody, especially a white liberal, wants to be called a racist. So no, the white people on the city council aren't going to do anything about it. Oh, no, I'm stuck here in Maryland. Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. DC, if they just rid themselves of these liberals, I'm telling you, it will be a much better place. Maryland was so beautiful when I moved here. And then came bald-headed Westmore. And Westmore, when I tell you he's tearing the state apart, he's tearing the state apart. High property taxes. He's killing people with these high property taxes. Okay. It's on the verge of being Chicago. Okay. High property taxes, taxes on transportation. Okay. Everything is up. All the tolls are up. If you go down to the MBA, everything is up because of literally bald-headed Westmore. They don't know how to balance a budget to save their lives. All they know how to do is spend. And that's what they've been doing. We're in a deficit, all because the Democrats just want to take care of illegal immigrants so they can have another voting bloc. But they forget about the people that have been residents of this state their entire lives, or they forget about the people that have lived in this area their entire lives. And they're spending the money on people that don't even come from America. You can't make it up. So you guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think. Yeah, your car. They literally yeah, his name. So what happened was the one of the city councilmen was caught on camera taking a bribe. Like literally caught on camera taking a bribe. Okay? Literally caught on camera inside of a car taking a bribe, and he got reelected. You can't make it up. Just because he's the homie. Everybody likes him. Okay. He's from the neighborhood, which is what I said on about the police officers. A lot of them are from the neighborhoods. Okay. And because they're from the neighborhoods, a lot of people are like, you know, well, such and such gets to do it. Why? How come we can't? Yes, it's Trayon. Mm-hmm. Yep. You know it. Mm-hmm. So that's what's going on with DC. You guys, it is absolutely wow. Extreme. The chat is wild. Okay. Yeah, you're not going to hear a Don Limon, okay, and his lemon drops talk about it. No. Okay. You're not going to hear Joyless Reed talk about it. You're not going to hear The View. You know, the Golden Girls are not going to sit around and talk about these things because it doesn't fit the narrative. Okay. It doesn't fit the narrative that it's all Donald Trump's fault. So no, they're not going to talk about it. Let me go ahead and get into these super chats. But yes, that's what's happening in Washington, D.C. That police chief stepped down because she knew this was coming. And furthermore, that's probably why the mayor isn't running again, because she was on her way to being a forever mayor, kind of like Marion Barry. Okay. Marion Barry pretty much was the forever mayor. All right. Until all of that, you know, drug situation happened. Y'all know about it. And so she was on her way to being that because there was nobody that was challenging her. But ever since Trump came in office, she don't want no smoke with Trump. She don't want no smoke. Okay. So anything that she says from here on out is all cap. It's all false. It's all trash. Don't believe it. You guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think about the crime stats. Okay. Is it okay to cook the books? Is it okay to do all of these things? I absolutely think it's nasty and atrocious because it's involving real lives and real people. And the people that the Democrats say they are taken up for are being affected by this. Okay. The poor is who's being affected by this. They're the ones getting hit over the head at Anacostia Station. But I digress. Let me get into this super chat. Good Lord, I lost it. I will find it again. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find it. Oh, here we go. I found it. Shadow Dragon TV, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. This woman and her children lost a father, a husband, and a leader. The opinions of those not in her position don't matter. People are disgusting. They're absolutely disgusting. They're absolutely disgusting. And like I said, you can have your opinion on it. Nobody's saying that you can't. If something looks funny, it looks funny. It is what it is. But the fact that, people want to keep harping on it when you don't have any new information, like, get me some information. Okay. But I always say, what is the end result? What's the end result? If the end result is, okay, you found out what happened, cool. Does it help or hurt Charlie's kids? Does it help or hurt Americans? All right? Because we know what happened to JFK, and nobody still hasn't gone and done anything about it. Who's out of office because of it? Who went to jail because of it? Not one person. And I guarantee you, all of them sitting up on Capitol Hill know it. So that's what I'm saying. We could actually be tearing down the actual structure that is doing harm. But nobody's interested in that. Everybody is internet warriors. Everybody keyboard warriors. Nobody's actually interested in doing the work. So most of the people that are talking are just full of it because you're not interested in doing the real work. You're not. Okay? I love a good conspiracy theory. Don't get me wrong. But if you're not interested in doing the work, then what are we doing? What is it all for? What do we gain as Americans by doing it? You guys get that in the comments. Thank you so much, Shadow Dragon TV. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So, yes, the mayor from the 90s. Y'all know. No, I'm about to get into that now, you guys. All right. So, let's go ahead and get into this because it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, faith without works is dead. Yep. Absolutely. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this. Everybody, if you don't know, all right, director, actor Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle was murdered yesterday in their home, and apparently by their son. All right. Now, here's the thing about everything that's going on with this. Earlier in the day, they didn't talk about it too much because they didn't want to just speculate. So the media and the police says. However, I want to go ahead and get into the initial report, and then we're going to follow from there. And I also want to get into the son, okay? Because you can clearly see a pattern. You can absolutely see a pattern. And then I want to get into what's going on with Donald Trump and this whole thing, okay? And what, Rob essentially felt about Donald Trump. And then, of course, the media. Let's go ahead and get into this. Here we go, you guys.
Overnight, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and the family of Rob Reiner say the legendary Hollywood director and his wife, Michelle, have died. Sources tell ABC News Reiner and his wife were found stabbed to death in their Los Angeles home Sunday afternoon.
The Los Angeles Police Department is now conducting an investigation at this residence here on Chadbourne, and that investigation will continue over the coming days.
Officials say they are not seeking a suspect and no arrests have been made. According to a neighbor, actors Larry David and Billy Crystal, who starred in Reiner's film When Harry Met Sally, visited the home Sunday evening. The two staying briefly before leaving with the neighbor, saying Crystal looked like he was about to cry. The son of comedy icon Carl Reiner, Rob Reiner would forge his own path in Hollywood in the 1970s, playing Mike Stivick's son-in-law to Archie Bunker on the hit sitcom All in the Family.
I mean, haven't you ever gotten anything you didn't ask for?
After the show ended, Reiner turned to directing, making his debut with the mockumentary This Is Spinal Tap.
These go to 11.
He'd go on to make beloved classics, including The Princess Bride.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
and When Harry Met Sally,
I love that it takes you an hour and a half to order a sandwich.
and A Few Good Men.
You can't handle the truth.
And just earlier this year, Reiner's directing career coming full circle, writing and directing the sequel to Spinal Tap 41 years after the original. Overnight reaction to the shocking news rolling in. Actor Josh Gad calling Reiner one of the greatest directors of our time. He was simply a beautiful person. Director Paul Feig calling him a true visionary titan and a lovely, lovely person. And former President Barack Obama writing, Reiner's career gave us some of our most cherished stories on screen. But beneath all of the stories he produced was a deep belief in the goodness of people. Rob Reiner was 78.
And Reiner's.
All right. So that was the initial report, right? And, you know, regardless of his political views, that is a horrible thing to have done to someone. Okay. It is absolutely horrible. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. All right. Horrible. Now, with that being said, the political side of this always rears its ugly head. When I tell you pop and politics are together, pop and politics are together. The political side to this is that, yes, Rob Reiner was what they like to call TDS. Okay. He absolutely had it. All right. Since Donald Trump ran. That has nothing to do with, you know, being murdered. However, yes, he did. So therefore, CNN is going to pick it up. All right. Not only because he is a superstar when it comes to Hollywood and films and acting and directing, he also, again, did not like Donald Trump. So there it is. Something that the media loves. Okay. Hollywood and Trump. That's what they like to talk about, especially in a negative way. And on top of that, Donald Trump decided to go on to his True Social and post a post. And CNN is going to talk about it. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Nick Reiner, son of Hollywood icon Rob Reiner, has been taken into custody after both of his parents were found dead in their home last night. CNN's Josh Campbell is in Los Angeles. Josh, I know you've been talking to sources. What are you learning about this arrest?
Yeah, Dana, a significant development in this incident. As you mentioned there, we're told that the son of Rob and Michelle Reiner is now in police custody. That according to jail records. Now, he's being held on $4 million bail on a type of felony charge. However, the records do not indicate what that specific charge is, whether that's specifically in connection with this case. We're waiting to actually, confirm that information. I did hear from a law enforcement source last night after we began reporting on these tragic deaths that police were conducting an interview with a family member at that time. Authorities calling this an apparent homicide, which was important because obviously in these types of death cases, authorities will try to assess whether a death was a suicide, whether it was an accident. LAPD saying last night they believed it was an apparent homicide. Now we're still waiting for additional details about what comes next in this case, whether the son is actually cooperating and talking with police. But again, a significant development. Their son now is in jail, Dana.
It could not get any more tragic. Josh, thank you so much for that reporting. I want to now bring in retired FBI Special Supervisory Agent Steve Moore. Steve, thanks for being here. What's your read on this situation?
Well, I think based on what I've heard, that family members are talking, nobody seems to be in the family seems to be wildly shocked about this. So I think we're going to find out more and more. There were indicators that there were problems in the relationship, problems with him. And, I think LAPD is taking it very carefully. They're not treating it like a slam dunk. I see that they're getting a warrant or they got a warrant to search the home of the victims. And so that, you don't always do that. So they are taking it extremely carefully.
As they should. I mean, this is beyond, sensitive, not to mention horrific. I was just told as you were talking that the LAPD chief just confirmed that Nick Reiner, the son of Rob and Michelle Reiner, was booked on murder charges.
Yeah, that's an important development because we know the chief was just speaking on a separate press conference underway in a domestic terrorism case. But that's the connection that we were waiting there, whether authorities would actually say this was a murder of that type of charge. Obviously, a significant development. It tells you the direction that this investigation is going.
All right, thanks to you both. Really appreciate you giving us the latest on this,
Here come the BS.
horrific investigation. Speaking of horrific, I want to read how the President of the United States responded publicly to this news. Here's what he posted, quote, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace." My panel is here now.
Donald Trump. Lord jeez. Don't get me wrong, okay? Like I told you, that man definitely had TDS, okay? I have extensively reviewed a lot of talking footage from him, okay? However, we absolutely know the media, we absolutely know how the left will be, and we absolutely know social media. And so as a political figure that is so polarizing, I would have not put that in there, okay? I wouldn't have. And that's just me. I wouldn't have put that in there because Donald Trump doesn't need, he doesn't need the backlash, okay? He doesn't need the backlash. And he doesn't need anything else to be put on top of what he has going on. Because right now, I think Donald Trump is doing a really good job at everything else. They're not going to focus on it with stuff like this, okay? They rather focus on things like this. They rather do that than focus on what the tariffs are bringing in. They rather do that than focus on what the economy is doing. They rather do that than focus on energy and other things that they could be talking about that they don't want to talk about because they have stuff like this to talk about. So sometimes, even though I like when Donald Trump claps back, sometimes it does Donald Trump a disservice because the media is just going to pick that up. And I think it gets in the way of what Donald Trump is actually doing. We know he has TDS. We know. Okay. Clearly, he has it. All right. If you go and look these things up, and we'll get into a couple of them, but clearly he has it. Okay. He has it. But the man is gone. Okay. He gone. There's no point. There's absolutely no point. So I didn't necessarily like it or agree with it. But, again, they're going to drag Donald Trump as if he is the worst thing ever, as if this is, the worst thing ever. Meanwhile, we just came off of everything that, happened with Charlie Kirk. That's what they're going to do with it. And I, just like with Erika Kirk, somebody got to tap Donald Trump on the shoulder like, big dog, this is what they're going to do, okay? They're going to continue with the orange man bad. Don't give them nothing. At least not when it's not something that you actually can use. You can't use this, okay? You can't use talking about, a man and his wife being slain. You can't do it. And I've seen them say nasty things, and I get it. But Trump, we can't do this. So that is my critique on this. But Donald Trump is wild, for sure.
Rest in peace. My panel is here now. The days of us expecting this president to be a consoler in chief, a uniter in chief, even anything close to that, those are long gone. That ship has long sailed.
And that's what I mean. That's what they're going to get into instead of actually getting into the facts of the case. Instead of actually getting into why the boy did it in the first place. Instead of actually getting into all that, they're going to get into Donald Trump. They're going to make this about Donald Trump. Consoler in chief. Since when? I've never seen Barack Obama console anybody. When everybody, that was, half a brain was questioning Barack Obama about killing, U.S. citizens, I didn't see any consoling or chiefing. Anywho, this is what I started seeing online because people wanted to bring up the fact that this man definitely did not like Donald Trump. And so this was one of the videos that I saw that went viral.
BJ, any chance of on a Trump type of thing, like a crime drama, perhaps?
Well, I'm working on a project, and I'll tell you, and I haven't told anybody about it.
Okay, here we go.
But I'm working on a project, and I haven't got the go-ahead yet, but I'm working on a project called The Spy and the Asset. And it's all about, Putin and Trump, and it takes them from their childhoods up to the point where they cross, and what happens to these two, and what happens to democracy as a result of this convergence. And I'm working with a really great writer named Ward Perry on it, who used to work for The Guardian, and really great writer. And we're going to go out to the various buyers after the 4th of July and see if anybody will be interested in it. I want to do it because, to me, it's like the first cut at history.
Right.
We're taking the first real cut at history with it.
I hope it gets made. It sounds compelling. I can see it. You've got such a great track record. And there are so many outlets now that it doesn't have to be in the theaters anymore, as we know. I'm not telling you.
No, this would be a multi-part series. It would be 10 to 13 episodes, a whole, to really look at their lives and how they intersected eventually.
Just wild, right? Like, my guy, just focus on, making good movies. If you don't like somebody, you don't like somebody. But to start getting, using your good talent, okay, to try to, get into the political space is just absolutely insane. And here's the thing. It's not rooted in anything factual, because everything I heard from this man talking about Donald Trump wasn't factual. Back the 2016, oh, well, yes, the Russia. That's what he's talking about. Okay, oh, he doesn't denounce the KKK. How many times has he denounced the Triple K? And the white supremacists and the neo-Nazis. Like, it's not rooted in anything. Okay, we just saw the Diddy documentary. Okay, at least that was actually correct footage. You are just about to do propaganda, and that's what I don't like about Hollywood. It's propaganda. And he participated in it. So that is the reason why Donald Trump said what he said. It may not have been very tactful. It may not have been right for the moment. However, that is why he said what he said. Because you had someone that was as big as this man, that is respected as this man is for his craft, doing just atrocious things. Can't make it up. All right. So now I want to go ahead and get into something that I saw, okay, that most people didn't want to focus on, but I wanted to focus on it. What I saw was the sun. All right. The sun seems to be deranged. Absolutely deranged. Okay. The sun seems to be doing something totally different. And when I say something totally different, meaning the sun, you can tell there was something going on. Now, people are saying that, he had an addiction because he had been in and out of rehab, things like that. He has been homeless. His parents have been trying to work with him, but there were other things going on. And a lot of these Hollywood kids, there's a lot going on. I want to get into a couple of clips of the son because they were doing movies together and other things, and just see how he felt left out, or see how he felt like the father. Like, you can see it. I don't know how anybody didn't see this. And apparently this has been boiling for years. Here we go.
I mean, of course it was a little bit, but
I mean, we did get into fights over things, but ultimately it forced us to make the film better. I mean, we get into issues, and I would see, the whole process for me, I can just speak for myself. It did make me understand him a lot more, and I think it made me a better father. Hopefully, it did. I don't know, but I think that, and you'll see it in the film. What happens is,
Look at his face.
Your kid, if your kid is going through rough times, the parent your main job is to keep your child safe. So I would do anything. I felt at a loss. So I would do anything that, as we say in the film, anybody with a desk and a diploma, I would listen to them. And the whole idea of tough love, and you have to be a certain way. And it's not my nature. It's not the way I am built, but I went and did that, and I think that, at the end of the day, I know my child better than an expert does. And I probably should have trusted my own instinct. And that's one of the things I did learn about the whole experience.
I think the bonding came not from the story itself, but from the fact that we were working on a movie together, and I could see him in I would think, in the form that he could express himself the best, which is making movies, because he has so much experience. And so seeing that sort of turned me around to be like, okay, I should probably...
No, sorry, I'm responding.
I should probably shut up and listen to him, because he knows a lot more about this. He knows I don't know anything. So I'll learn whatever he has to teach me.
I just think that's such a fascinating thing to say, that like your father, who you would always want to be at his best as your father, may be a type of person who's at his best when he's making movies. And that makes him more understandable or relatable as a father to you, which is so fascinating to me.
Yeah, it really clicked for me, because we didn't bond a lot as a kid. Like, he really liked baseball. I like basketball, and he could watch that with my brother, but baseball. But I just, when I saw him do that, and it was something that I'm interested in, I was like, wow, like, he really knows a lot. And like, it made me feel closer to him and be like, yeah.
You're like, wow, my dad.
So it seems like the son is saying, well, I did this because my dad was interested in it. So it made me get closer to my dad, right? Here's another one.
Because the film focuses on stand-up comedy to some extent, who are some of your favorite comics in the game right now? And for Nick, only because you were talking about these WWE-styled microphones, who's your favorite wrestler? If you say Roddy Piper or Macho Man Randy Savage, we got to be friends, man.
Don't say those.
Who's your favorite?
I used to love Rey Mysterio as a kid.
Yeah, that
Rob Van Dam.
Rob Van Dam, the frog splash. And Rey Mysterio used to do that, what was it? The 609, you go through
619.
619. You go through the ropes. And
Hey, Rob, how do you know that?
because the boys, my two boys, Nick and his older brother Jake, they used to love wrestling, and they would wrestle with each other. We brought them a mat so that they could wrestle, and I took them to some of the WWE events. They got to get on, on the stage.
I didn't.
No, you didn't.
It was Jake.
No, but what wasn't that guy with the? No, the guy with the broke the.
It was Jake.
And what did you do?
Some of our favorite comics are.
Okay, comics. No, but you were there. You got to meet.
I wasn't there at that one.
Not that one, but who did we meet?
I was the
Trish
one.
Stratus.
Yeah.
You met Trish Stratus, didn't you? And the Big Show. Did you meet the Big Show?
Met the Big Show.
All right, so you were there, or just that one time he wasn't. Okay.
No.
The boy is telling his dad, no, I didn't go. That was Jake. That's my brother. I didn't go to that. He's like, oh, I thought you went to the. He's like, no, that's Jake. It's something with the father and the son. It's It's sad. It's something there, and they're not getting it, right? But you can see with what the son is saying. It's something there, right? And at the end of the day, I think he's trying to express that he's not feeling loved or whatever, right? The kid is born in 1995, and this is at the height of, this man's career. And so he comes in at a time where his dad is the busiest. He probably doesn't spend much time with him, right? And that's not an excuse to kill your parents, because that's wild. But it's something there that they didn't catch as parents. He's been a ticking time bomb. It's some tension there, absolutely. It's something going on, and I can't call it because I'm not in their family, but absolutely this has been ticking. All right, and here's the last one I want to show on it.
Get anything out of being in those different facilities? Were you able to take anything away long term that's helping you?
You know what I really took away, and I usually bash the programs but I'll say something positive, which is the feeling of, okay, there's other people out here that suffer from the same thing that I suffer from, and they're willing to talk about it. And that's why I think we did this movie, is because we feel it's important to be upfront about this sort of stuff.
So how was it? I can imagine just me directing my son's work and then putting my my nose in, and you're obviously a great writer. So they wrote the screenplay, I would imagine, as the director? You maybe tweaked it in places?
I worked with them. I mean, over the course of a year, I helped.
Was it hard to not to give him his space, and maybe, want something to be changed, but leave it alone because he really felt strongly? Or how did that, how was it for you working with him?
We hashed everything out. I mean, some things became fights, other things, we hashed it out.
He told me something that was really fascinating to me, and everything clicked after that. He was like, there's one person on the set that has to make the final decision, whether it's right or wrong, it has to be made, and that's the director. And so after I heard that, I was like, okay, I'll do what he wants me to do. I'll try my best on it, but ultimately it's up to him what gets into the movie.
The other thing was, there were times when, Nick would fight for certain types of things. And, my first instinct was I have a lot more experience. But then as we went along, I realized that, I may have a lot more experience making movies, but I don't have a lot more experience on this particular subject, and particularly what the young guy is going through. So, I told him many times he's the heart and soul of the film, and he would have better insights as to what Charlie was experiencing than I would, and I would defer to him a lot.
And were you surprised to hear the things that he didn't understand about you, or did understand about you when you were going through that as a result of the process of writing and making the movie?
We both had no idea where each other were coming from.
You were saying, sorry, that you what you sort of took away from his interaction with you over the script and the film.
Yeah, we both learned what each other went through during that time. But really the thing I took away from it was I got to see him in his element, sort of directing and doing all these things. And when I said that in the past, people would be like, well, weren't you on movie sets before?
Yeah,
but it's different because it's something I wrote. It's my dad, and it's something that we're collaborating on. And I saw he has sometimes a hard time expressing himself through just conversation, but through his efforts.
What do you mean by that? Because it seems like he's very expressive through conversation.
Well, we're on a show right now, but
really?
No, but
he's pretty quiet.
He's quieter, but he listens. He's a great dad, and I just mean that he's best explaining himself when he is in his element, making a movie, showing how much he cares through that.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild. People got to pay attention to their kids, okay? You have to pay attention to your kids, because obviously this young man was lacking something from his parents, lacking something in himself, and it all came to a head yesterday, okay? And when you just look at everything, it doesn't matter if you're a multimillionaire like they were, or if, you're poor. Because the same things are happening: the drug addictions, the lack, of self-confidence, the lack of self-worth, not having the father always be around, always be available. Something is happening. Something happened with the kid that nobody caught. And it's unfortunate because he's ruined his life. He's murdered his parents, which is an awful, thing, okay? Because you took the parents of your siblings as well. And you're going away for the rest of your life. And you're a young man. So this is just absolutely insane all the way around. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And, you know, unfortunately, as parents, it's a thankless job sometimes, you know? As to be a parent is a thankless job. You might get the praise, you might not. But you got to pay attention to these kids. Because they can not only destroy themselves like he was with, you know, the drug addiction, it can also destroy you as it did when it came to a head yesterday. So I'm pretty sure more details will come out about it, but I found that part of it to be interesting. Okay. I know the media wants to do the whole, you know, I don't know the media wants to do the whole, you know, oh, well, Donald Trump and he didn't like Donald Trump and Donald Trump doesn't like him, you know, but I think people are due a more, you know, in-depth reality or a more in-depth look than, you know, just their politics, no matter how deranged they are. And I thought looking into the family and why the son may have done this, right? Because they haven't given a motive yet. They just said that, you know, he's in there for murder, which is absolutely insane. He slit the throats of his parents. Like, that's a crime of passion. It's something going on. Absolutely insane. So you guys get down in the comments and let me know what you guys think about that. That is absolutely wild. It's absolutely wild, right? The son just seems like something was going wrong and nobody caught it. You know, he wasn't able to help himself and his parents weren't able to help him, unfortunately. And now everybody, unfortunately, suffers. People lose their lives and the family no longer has their brother or their parents. It's absolutely sad. So you guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think about all of this. Let me know what you think about Donald Trump. Did Donald Trump, you know, mock Rob Reiner's death? What did you think about it? And what do you think about the son being charged for murder? Okay. What do you think about the son seemingly having an issue with his parents, with his father, with, you know, not being seen, heard, at least even up until this movie that he did with his father? Because he seems to be very outspoken on every interview, saying something about how he's not seen or heard. It's wild. This whole episode has been wild for me, I'm telling you, because everything here has just been a sad weekend. It's absolutely been sad. Okay. But you guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think about that. The Genius CEO, thank you for the $2 super chat. For the win. Gracias. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Last but not least, really quick, I just wanted to get into this update on the shootings. Yeah, got about 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and get into that because I just thought that, you know, this stuff was wild. Let's go ahead and get into this from Brown. Now, I want to get into the updates, okay? If you don't know, there was a shooting at Brown University, okay? I want to get into some of these updates, and I want to get into some of the updates of Australia, the Australia shooting, all right? Let's go ahead and get into that. Here we go.
Police! Promise police! Hands! Stand up, hands! Promise police! Everybody's hands! Hands! Everybody get your hands! Hands! Just keep your hands up for us. Obviously, there's something going on. We're here to help you. Just listen to what we have to say, okay? All right, breathe. Anybody hurt? No? All right, just listen to our commands. We will get you out of here safely. Is this it? Is this the group? If you have your bags, your phones, go grab it now. Quickly, go, quick, go. In orderly, fast. Let's go.
Absolutely insane. So there were students barricading themselves in the library, all right, because of the shooting. So I just wanted to show that really quickly. Here we go.
This is a Fox News alert right now. A manhunt for the Brown University's shooting suspect accused of killing 2 students and injuring 9 more as the person of interest detained is released overnight.
Fox News contributor Paul Morrow, Iran counterterrorism operation for the NYPD, and joins us right now. So let's start with Brown. We have, sadly, we have many to choose from. The footage is real. They really think that's the suspect. But the 24-year-old they had in custody that they found at the hotel by the airport, he is no longer a suspect.
Yeah, you know, I watched the press conference last night, and if you notice, they were parsing their words very, very carefully, and they left a little bit of an aperture open for the idea that he may still be the suspect, right? So they were saying, yeah, he's still a person of interest and things like that, but we're going in a different direction. So what you have to do now, and this is tough to do in an investigation, they got to take a step back, and they got to wipe the slate clean. You can't go with your confirmation biases now because you have to realistically, you got to start over, and you got to start from the beginning and say, motive here. How do we winnow down the process? And remember, one of the things that we've been hearing all along here, which has been sort of received wisdom, that the solve was going to come from the fact that they put out a lot of technical resources, like to do geofencing, throw a fence, essentially, an electronic fence around the area, see what phones were moving, what were in that zone. And the problem is, if the perpetrator doesn't have a phone, then you're blind again, and you got to start there, because if he doesn't, then realistically, you got to go a different route.
Paul, you were talking about some of the security measures of that building.
Yeah.
It's apparent that this guy knew that
yeah.
when he was going into this building, because, I mean, this is just almost like the perfect scenario for a suspect to evade with no cameras, being able to get access to the building, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think you're raising the salient points here, because even when we had supposedly had a solve and we started to get some information about the potential perpetrator, the idea was that he had come all the way across country and had selected Brown. And a lot of us had questions as to why. Why did he come all the way? And, you know, we had the recent case with the 2 National Guardsmen in D.C., and people were comparing it to that. But D.C. is iconic. Right. You understand why somebody would go there. Why Brown University? And if it was chosen, which it would have to have been, how did he know he could get in? Why that particular classroom where everybody in that building happened to be? How did he know he wouldn't need a key card? How did he know all of these things, that they would even be there? So that was, to me, a big question that I was waiting to hear resolved, and it never got resolved. So that means, as I said earlier, you got to take a step back. You got to say, okay, who has a potential motive here? We know, for instance, the professor is also a professor of Judaic studies. Now, you got to, in light of everything that's gone on, you have 2 soldiers dead, actually 3 dead in Syria. You have everything that just happened in Australia. You had 5 Islamists rolled up on a Christmas market plot in Germany. We had a number of things pop off in the Netherlands. You got to say to yourself, is there a commonality? Is somebody putting out? The Israelis have put out some stuff relative to Iran. I'm not ready to buy that yet. But you do have to say there's a lot going on all at once. And so when you look at Brown, that has to be marbled into the equation.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy, right? Because here's the thing about it. The mayor there has allowed the shelter in place to be lifted, right? And they allowed it when the suspect that they had was allowed to be, released, because apparently they don't think it's him. But that says, with that being said, you now have a person on the loose. Right? You don't know if they're going back to the school, if they're, not going back, like you don't know. And so they said, hey, send the kids to school. Send everybody to school. Everybody can, go do what they want. It's insane. Okay. In this day and time, and so many cameras catch this, that, and the third. We got cameras for, that can catch a plate, your license plate 10 blocks down the road, but yet we have no cameras around these universities. We have no cameras where on the streets where it's, densely populated. No ring cameras caught this guy, like nothing. Nobody saw anything. It's wild to me. It's absolutely wild to me, especially in places like, where Brown is, because most of these, very liberal areas have a lot of cameras. So I'm kind of, perplexed about it, because usually they have, cameras on every street corner. They have cameras at the stoplights. They have cameras here, cameras there. Nobody caught anything. Exactly. So the cameras are usually everywhere. And then he knew the building that didn't have cameras, which also is alarming. So with that being said, you don't have him in custody. He may go back to that building. You guys don't know what he looks like. Don't know who he is. But you're telling the kids to go back to school. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. So with that being said, the liberals are going to bring up what? They're going to bring up gun laws. You knew it was coming. I want to get into CNN because, as you know, CNN is a big proponent for, gun laws. Like this is what they do. All right. This is literally what they do. I want to go ahead and get into this. And you guys let me know if you can, hear this or not, because my Wi-Fi is going in and out. But let me know if you can hear this. But this is CNN talking about gun laws.
This is about, and we've talked about this, much more than gun violence. It is gun violence, but the laws could be stronger, but they're stronger than other places in Rhode
Absolutely,
Island.
Well, but the laws do make a difference. I mean, if you look at states like Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, California that have stronger laws, we have gun violence rates, murder rates, mass shooting rates that are 2 to 3 to 4 times lower than states that have loose gun laws. And many of the weapons that are used in our states for gun crimes come to our states from those states that have an ability for criminals and people with serious mental illness to buy weapons. So what we know is that stronger laws do work. And since we passed that bill in 2022, the first bill in 30 years that strengthens the nation's gun laws, gun violence rates and mass shooting rates have come down in this country. But this is not shocking, because over the last year, President Trump has been engaged in a dizzying campaign to increase violence in this country. He is restoring gun rights to felons and people who have lost their ability to buy guns. He eliminated the White House Office of Gun Violence Protection, and he has stopped funding mental health grants and community anti-gun violence grants that Republicans and Democrats supported in that 2022 bill. So he has been engaged in a pretty deliberate campaign to try to make violence more likely in this country. And I think you're unfortunately going to see the results of that on the streets of America.
Now, you go to these states, okay, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all of these places, right? You go to these places that have these strict gun laws, New York, places like that, right? You go to these places and they have gun violence. The only people that don't have guns are the people that abide by the law, okay? And so you go and say, okay, stricter gun laws do what? Because I absolutely know that makes you a target. And then they get into the factor is, oh, well, the right is going to bring up the Constitution. Absolutely, we're going to bring up the Constitution. Absolutely. Because, once a government can take certain things away from you, they can continue to take things away from you. And then you can't fight back against them, because it is absolutely embedded in our Constitution to be able to fight against tyranny, to be able to fight against a tyrannical government. All right. And they know that. They absolutely know that. So that's not a debate. But again, I knew they were going to go that way. And the same is being said for another shooting that happened yesterday, over the weekend, which was in Australia. And here's CNN talking about that.
Leaders in Australia have agreed to toughen the country's already strict gun laws just a day after the deadly shooting at Sydney's Bondi Beach. At least 15 people were killed and dozens injured in what authorities are calling a terror attack targeting Jewish people celebrating the start of Hanukkah. Police say the gunmen were a father and son. The father shot and killed by authorities at the scene. The son is in the hospital in critical but stable condition. Officials say the younger suspect was previously on the radar of authorities, but he wasn't deemed a threat. He is now expected to face charges. Witnesses describe the chaos as the attack unfolded.
We thought it was fireworks at the start, and then next second we see people lying on the floor, so a kid gets shot. It was probably the worst thing I've ever seen.
All hell broke loose. There's just people everywhere, kids screaming, just people screaming, and yeah, just everyone everywhere. Just yeah, it was horrible.
As Australia plans to tighten its gun laws, the country's Home Affairs Minister announced earlier it will expand and expedite the visa process for the victims' families.
Of the number of people who will have family members overseas, not only in Israel, but in other parts of the world, who will want to be able to get them here rapidly for funerals. We have set up a specific section of the department rapidly dealing with visa processing at a pace that would not ordinarily be there, to make sure that, given the often speedy nature of funerals, in terms of the timeline in the Jewish tradition, to make sure that we maximise the chance for family members to be able to be reunited here at the worst of times.
CNN's Angus Watson is joining us live from Sydney. And Angus, you're at a vigil where there's certainly been some heavy moments tonight.
It's been very moving here at Bondi Beach, just moments away from where this attack happened on Sunday afternoon. The community has come here to grieve, to be together, to lean on one another, show some solidarity on what should be the second night of, or what is the second night of the Hanukkah festival. It should be a celebration. Instead, it's a memorial. So here we had the lighting of the menorah, the Hanukkah candles here. In a very moving moment, we've had songs. We've even had the Australian national anthem as people come together to mourn. The number of people killed in this attack is at 15. Dozens of people are still in hospital. The youngest person killed here, a 10-year-old girl named Matilda, who died of her wounds in hospital late last night. The oldest person who killed in this attack, an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor, killed at a Hanukkah celebration on a Sunday in Bondi by two men, anti-Semitic terrorists, one of whom killed by responders at the scene, another in a serious but stable condition in hospital tonight. He's, of course, the focus of police investigations. Police today have raided two houses linked to these two men, and they're moving quickly to change those gun laws. Semi-automatic rifles are already banned in Australia. The government wants to go further so that only Australian nationals can have firearms licenses, and that firearms are the number of firearms that anybody can be licensed is reduced, because last night at the attack, the gunman who used multiple weapons was licensed to have them.
It's wild. They already have some of the strictest gun laws. What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? Like, what else can you do? As he said, the person who did the shooting was abiding by the gun law. Okay? He was licensed to have the gun. What else are you going to do? It's wild. You already have restrictions. It's not going to stop unless you go completely without guns. And that hasn't gotten Europe anywhere, because Europe has that right now. Crime through the roof. So I don't understand what they think is going to happen, but it's absolutely a tragedy. It's absolutely a tragedy, that this happened But I'm going to tell you right now, the politicians don't care about any of this. All they care about is taking the guns away from the citizens, having the citizenry actually live under a certain thumb and rule of law. And I'm telling you right now, Australia has allowed their government to take a lot of things away from them. But it's not the Australian nationals. Okay? It's not the indigenous Australians. It's the people that have come in. It's the people that have come in. It's happening everywhere. Okay? When people don't assimilate to your way of life, it is what it is. And it's up to your government, and it's up to you to actually tell your government, hey, this is what we want. These are the type of people that we want to come into our country. Australia has taken in so many from all around the world, and I do mean everywhere. They have the same thing we have, sleeper cells. Absolutely. All right. And you guys, if you don't know, this just happened an hour, maybe like an hour or two ago, or a little bit before we started here. And this is happening right now. And well, let me rephrase that. They reported this an hour or two ago. Here we go.
Breaking news just moments ago, 4 people who were allegedly planning a bomb attack on businesses across Southern California for New Year's Eve have been arrested. Los Angeles law enforcement officials made that announcement in just the last hour. The press conference came shortly after this post from Attorney General Pam Bondi, who says the Department of Justice and the FBI prevented what would have been a massive and horrific terror plot in California.
That's insane.
The Turtle Island Liberation Front, a far-left, pro-Palestine, anti-government, and anti-capitalist group, was preparing to conduct a series of bombings against multiple targets in California beginning on New Year's Eve. The group also planned to target ICE agents and vehicles. Listen to law enforcement here explain some of the details of that plot.
In November 2025, Defendant Carroll created a detailed bombing plot to use explosive devices to attack 5 or more locations across Southern California on this upcoming New Year's Eve. Carroll and her co-defendant, Zachary Page, led the effort to obtain and build the bombs and to recruit others to join in their plot. Carroll's bomb plot was explicit. It included a step-by-step instructions to build IEDs or improvised explosive devices and listed multiple targets across Orange County and Los Angeles. Carroll also made clear her desires. She said, quote, "What we are doing will be considered a terrorist act." Carroll and Page also discussed plans for follow-up attacks after their bombings, which included plans to target ICE agents and vehicles with pipe bombs. Carroll stated that those plans would, quote, "take some of them out and scare the rest."
All right, let's bring in CBS News.
And as you can see, we can just keep going and going and going and going and going. Here's the fact of the matter, okay? Here's the facts of everything that we talked about today, okay? We've talked about, at this point, multiple shootings. We've talked about, people being stabbed by their own children, own family members. We've talked about everything from, protection, not having the government do what they're supposed to do to protect the citizenry of, horrible crimes, especially here in Washington, D.C. Okay. They're cooking the books. They're trying to take the guns away from, people here, there, stricter gun laws here, Australia, wherever. These governments aren't doing a very good job at protecting the citizens. Okay. Everything is about their own interests. A lot of the times they know what's going to happen when they let certain groups in. A lot of the times they know what's going to happen if they talk about certain groups. A lot of the times they know what's going to happen if they allow certain propaganda to go on to the mainstream televisions, onto the mainstream social platforms, on to certain podcasts, they know what's going to happen and they are going to allow it to happen. So you as a society, people in the chat, myself, we have to stay informed. We have to be one step ahead because nobody's coming to save us. Okay? Especially at this point in time when we have such a fractured country right now. Everybody is here, there, and everywhere. Okay? Even if you're on the same side. Nobody's coming to save you. So you have to be well aware of the law, where you're staying, what's going on. Like, look these things up. Because you could find yourself in places like this, okay? In places like Australia, finding yourself in the middle of something that's going on culturally over there, okay? Or be in one of these liberal cities and states where crime is down, but then find yourself in a peculiar situation, okay? Be on these liberal campuses, where they encourage and incite violence a lot of the time. And then, the kids who are trying to get an education got to go hide in libraries. It's just absolutely wild and insane. And I think as a society, we're broken. We're absolutely broken. As a society, we're broken. Okay? Like I said before, you got this fraction over here, this group here, this group here, this group here. Instead of coming together as Americans, instead of doing what's right for each other, we're arguing about stupid things. We're arguing about petty things. As you see with these stabbings in Hollywood, one minute you're partying, next minute you're gone. Okay. And don't let me get into the psyop and the conspiracies. Okay. Because I can get into that too. Shout out to my home Slimmy. I see you in the chat. But I could get into that too. All right. And a lot of the stuff, starting 2026, we're definitely going to get into it. I'm going to start doing Patreons and things like that because a lot of this stuff be deeper. Okay. As I showed you with the son of Rob Reiner. Okay. There's a lot going on there. There's a whole lot going on there. But the media isn't going to talk about that. They're going to stick to the surface. They're going to stick to what works, which is making you upset, angry, and Trump. That's all we talk about. That's all we talk about in the mainstream media. And that's because they don't go deeper. They don't want you looking into things. And the things that you should look into, they don't want you looking into. But the things that are a waste of time, people want to go down the rabbit hole on. When we should be looking into things that actually affect us. They want to have, the hand here when it's really the hand here. But we're not paying attention to it because we're too busy being entertained by absolute nonsense. Absolutely not. Just nonsense. Oh, you're absolutely right, Slimmy. A whole lot of politicians ruin a whole lot of things. Okay. A whole lot of politicians ruin a whole lot of things. They're into a lot of things. It's money in politics that shouldn't be there. Okay. It's people, it's players, it's other countries, it's all types of nonsense. Okay. Like I'm going to do a video on Maine. Maine is having the same issue that Minnesota had. You know why? Because the politicians do not care. They're taking your tax dollars and funneling it into other things and to Somalia, where there are terrorist groups and all types of stuff. It's stupid. We're paying attention to the dumbest stuff when we should be paying attention to that. When we should be trying to tear down systems that, overtax us and these illegal laws on taxation and these illegal laws on, us being able to be represented correctly by our so-called political representations. But we're not fighting for that. We're fighting stupid, petty arguments that get us nowhere as a society. We should be arguing the fact that, our kids aren't actually going towards innovation and AI and different trades that are going to take us into the future. Meanwhile, they're still doing school like they're getting ready to go work at the factory and the assembly line. YouTube isn't going to allow you to go down a rabbit hole. The rabbit hole on YouTube will get your channel off. Okay, that's why most people do Patreons and other platforms, because you cannot go down the rabbit hole on YouTube, and that's a fact. Okay, but the whole idea is you pay attention to what they put in front of you, but you also pay attention to what they don't put in front of you. Okay, and that's how you get ahead. And a lot of the times, we get caught up in the stupid stuff. We get caught up in the nonsense. Instead of actually looking where the hidden hand is, okay? And even if, there is a politician that wants to do the most, there's so many things that he has to fight against. And it's unfortunate for us, which is the reason why we can't just depend on politicians. We actually have to get up and start action and start doing things and start saying things and start requiring things and start putting things into motion that force our government officials to do what we need them to do, or to change the system entirely. But at the end of the day, if you're not doing anything about it, if all you care about is the salacious nonsense, then okay. Because we know why they have Ratchet Crockett. I laugh at Ratchet Crockett all day, but we know why there's Ratchet Crockett. It keeps the minorities from actually going to look at what they should be looking at, because they got a black face, a black clown sitting up here telling them what they want to hear instead of telling them what they need to hear and what they need to be doing. I said it before and I'll say it again. We can laugh, we could joke, but I bring attention to certain people and I tell you to look them up, because at the end of the day, follow the money. Follow Ratchet Crockett's money. You'll see who it is. Follow it. They're all the same. And right now she's complaining because she's getting pushback on it, because people have been following the money. They are following her non-voting record. So at the end of the day, you guys need to pay attention. Pay attention when it's salacious. Pay attention when it's funny. Pay attention when they say you should like it. Pay attention when they say you shouldn't like it. Pay attention to everything, because everything literally is everything. And that's my rant. You guys, thank you so much. That's exactly who it leads back to. You got it. You ding, 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 ding. Okay. That's exactly who it is. It leads right back there to the junior. Okay. The junior one. You guys, thank you so much for pulling up. It was an awful weekend. News-wise, it was an awful weekend. Okay. Rest in peace to people that were, murdered, slain, all types of things this weekend, last week, because there was another gentleman that was, I think his name is Jubilant Sykes. Okay. His son also murdered him. Okay. He was a very known baritone singer in the classical world. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous what's going on. But you guys, thank you so much for pulling up. Thank you to everybody that super chatted. Thank you to everybody that came through and talked in the chat. And just thank you to everybody who likes and shares. I appreciate it. I really do. Hey, 2K, what's going on? Thank you. And I caught your show the other day. It was funny, but you cut off YouTube. You cut out water. That's what you call it. You cut the water. And I don't have kick. So but that's my homie. Thank you, 2K. And thank you, Slippy, for pulling up as well. Thank you to everybody. I love you guys. Thank you to Frankie, Slimmy, 2K, Jada Legend Sports. Got it. Lone Star Rider, Ronnie. Thank you to Alicia for pulling up. Thank you. Thank you to Loud and Clear, Melanick. I think I got it right that time. Thank you. Thank you to the Junior CEO, your car. I appreciate you as always. Sugar Shane, agency headquarters. Thank you so much. Thank you to T Brew One. I appreciate you. Thank you to I Am DeAndre. Thank you to let's see here. Hold on. Sierra Henderson. Thank you. And like you were really talking some good stuff in the chat. So shout out to that. Thank you to Super Tim. Thank you to, hold on. Thank you to Chavis. Thank you to Zombie 85. Thank you so much for pulling up. Thank you to Rox. Thank you to, I think it's Enforcer 2K9. Yeah. Thank you so much for pulling up. Thank you to Clifton. All right. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for spending this 2 hours with me. Normally, I only do 2 hours. So I don't. My rant went a little long. But thank you guys for pulling up. As always, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe. Be good to each other because you never know when it's your time to go. Because that was a horrific weekend. Okay. Regardless of your political views. Be kind to each other. Be nice. Even if you don't like who the person voted for. Sugar Mika. I'm out. Peace. Bye.